Let's have a look at your continental and global news now. The SADC Commission of Inquiry investigating the death of Lesotho's former army commander, Maaparankoe Mahao, spent the morning cross-examining the Lesotho Defence Force. The army is represented by Colonel Bulane Sechele, who gave graphic testimony covering the actual events that led to Mahao's shooting and the position of the army on the change in command from Tlali Kamoli to Mahao and back. He has stuck to his guns on refusing to name individual members involved in the operation to arrest Mahao or his whereabouts on that day, but he did release the names of members, including himself, who were to be victims of the alleged mutiny. The commission started public hearings yesterday. And now joining us on the line to tell us more about the developments in the Mountain Kingdom is our reporter there, Ntakwana Ngatana. Ntakwana, a very good afternoon to you. Now, on its very first day in the public, the commission had to deal with one of the most daring ones. We hear that the army was advising the commission to seek permission from SADC to set aside 3 of its terms of reference. Please tell us about these 3 terms of reference in question, Ntakwana, and why did the army submit this plea?
Indeed, Alicia, you'll remember that the Commission opened submissions, written submissions, after it was sworn in here in the capital, Maseru, before it started the public hearings. And as soon as it did that, apparently the Army then wrote to the Commission requesting that it request permission from SADC to set aside 3 terms of reference. The first one being that the Commission should not hear investigations into the alleged mutiny in the Lesotho Defence Force. And the Army was saying that the court-martial that will sit from September or from this month is more equipped to handle the court-martial. But of course, the Commission chairperson making a ruling yesterday, Judge Mpapi Pumati, said no. The Commission is entitled to talk about the mutiny because, as it is, the reason why we have the court-martial happening now is because the Commission itself, the authorities took time to equip it with the necessary tools to start working. So the fact that the Commission and the court-martial are happening at the same time are not the fault of the Commission itself, but the delay by the authorities in Lesotho. So therefore, the Commission will go ahead and listen to testimony on the mutiny itself. The second issue that the Army was bringing up was that of the in-camera proceedings. The Army saying at the time that they did not want any of the proceedings to be in camera because it wanted access to all the witnesses to be able to cross-examine them. Again, the Commission said no, but it did say that if anybody is implicated in the in-camera proceedings, that is in proceedings in private, they will have access to that testimony and they will be able to respond in their own testimony in front of the Commission. The third issue that the Army was bringing up was that it wanted to represent all members of the Lesotho Defence Force who would appear in front of the Commission, so that they didn't want any individual members of the Lesotho Defence Force to appear in front of the Commission. Again, the Commission said no, because some members of the Commission, of the Lesotho Defence Force, had actually written to the Commission saying that they want to present their own evidence, and some of them had even said that they want to present that evidence in camera. So again, the Commission said no. So all 3 of those requests or those applications by the Lesotho Defence Force were dismissed by the Commission. That's why we now see the representative of the Colonel Bulane Sechele representing evidence on behalf of the Lesotho Defence Force. But we understand also that we will have other members of the Lesotho Defence Force appearing in front of the Commission. They include staff that received Mahao when he arrived at the Maaparankoe Military Hospital after he was shot, who will tell us the state that he was in when he actually arrived at the hospital, and other members of the Army. So that is what's happening. Amid tight security and a lot of attention, some people have to even stand outside because there is so much interest in this commission here in the capital, Maseru. Alicia.
Look, Ntakwana, another issue of contention here was, of course, the final minutes of Commander Maaparankoe Mahao. How did the parties deliberate on this part from the Army as well as the family's version? And what was the reaction to the information? Because there has long been a question over these 2 versions of his death. Was there confirmation on this, Ntakwana?
Well, at this point in time, Alicia, what we can call it evidence that's being led by the Army. This is the version of the Army of the events of that day. You remember that when this story broke, the family of Mahao, 2 members of the family were with him. And they said at the time that he was shot, no questions asked. They said at the time that he had not even drawn his weapon when the shooting began. They said at the time that nobody had even said anything to him when the shooting actually began. This is the version that the family gave. They said that after he was shot, he was dragged face down by members of the army before they took him away. They didn't know where they had taken him to. And they said at the time his body was almost lifeless at the time that the events were happening. But now the army coming out yesterday to say that its version of the story is that Mahao actually pulled out his gun and even popped it before they shot in the air. And when he actually pointed it to one of them, that's when he himself was shot. This is the version of the army. But of course, the commissioners today are cross-examining this witness, the member of the army or the representative of the army, even asking him questions like, what kind of handcuffs did the members of the army that went on this operation have on them? A bit of difficulty from him, but eventually he said metal handcuffs. And things like, where was he, this member, who gave such a graphic detail of what happened on the actual day of the event? He was describing in terms of the size of the distance of what happened on that particular day. But when the commissioners actually said to him, were you at the scene of the crime or at the scene of the incident, he then said he didn't want to incriminate himself. He keeps saying that, Colonel Sechele, over and over again, that he does not want to mention any names in terms of the members of the army who were at the actual operation. Even he himself doesn't want to say whether he was at the actual incident or not, but he says that he was in charge of the operation, but will not say whether or not he was at the actual incident when it actually happened. So, again, we are expecting other witnesses to come in front of the commission to present their own evidence, to actually either corroborate or refute some of the evidence that is being presented here by the Lesotho Defence Force.